Three.
Hello, welcome to the lately PHP Podcast. After many years of absence, we've been working a lot on many things, and this is the return of the Jedi. No, this is the return of just common PHP developers like myself. But I have now a great company, Mike Stowe from the Nomad PHP fame, and we are going to try to make this time useful and nice for you to watch or listen or read. Maybe if you do a transcript, you can also read what we are saying. I hope it will be useful, and we'll be talking a lot of PHP and a lot of the latest developments, and hopefully a bit about the future. But first, I'd like to introduce you to Mike Stoll. For those that don't know him, he is very famous, but he's a very humble person, and probably you won't know the many great things he has done. But for that, it's better that he tell us what he has been doing, who he is, and whatever he thinks it's best to tell now about his work and its participation in the PHP community.
Manuel,
Thank you,
thank
Mike,
you.
for
I'm going to
this
apologize for
participation.
who has to listen to me ramble. Essentially, Manuel's like, "Hey, we should do this podcast." And I'm like, "Man, a chance for me to talk more." That's exactly what everybody on the planet absolutely wants, is to listen to me. But before I do an intro to me, I have to give a shout out to my real employer who is sponsoring tonight's episode, so I don't get in trouble. And that is a quick thank you to Ring Central for sponsoring the Lately in PHP podcast. If you're not familiar with Ring Central offers full cloud communication. So we're talking message, video, phone in the cloud. And they have a bunch of APIs that allow you to connect and build your own applications on top of their Ring Central MVP platform. So definitely check them out at ringcentral.com and the developer platform at developers.ringcentral.com. And with that out of the way, I'll do a quick intro for those that don't know me. For those that do, I apologize. Usually they wish they didn't. But my name is Mike Stowe. And I've had the privilege of taking over Nomad PHP from the great Cal Evans and trying to build a community of learning where people can really come in, attend live meetups, stream live conferences that they might not be able to go to otherwise. Growing up, I couldn't afford to go to a lot of conferences out there. So I want to bring conferences to people right where they're at via the stream, books and resources, professional certification, and more. So all that's available at nomadphp.com. And outside of that, my biggest disclaimers: I'm from Minnesota. I have originally, I'm now in California, but I have a terrible Minnesota accent. So you will hear things like, "Oh yeah, don't you know? Oh sure, you betcha," right here on the stream. And also, if you can't tell, I think I'm funny. Most other people do not. So I apologize for my sense of humor. And with that, Manuel, I'll turn back to you. But my understanding is something really, really exciting happened yesterday.
Yeah, well, exciting for me. It's common because it's kind of my life for the last 22 years. I started the PHP classes site in 1999. It was a very long time. I'm really an ancient person. Despite my hair is black, I have a few gray hair, not many, but some people do not believe that I'm 53. And a great part of my life, like 22 years, have been around the PHP community. The PHP community is great, it's huge, and they work a lot. There are a few noisy people, but the most of us work in silence because they are focused on developing great work. And all of those are heroes because they have been contributing to make the PHP community better. As you may know, PHP was started by Rasmus, but then Rasmus shared his work with others. Others got interested, wanted to collaborate, and from then on, PHP has been growing a lot. I don't even know how many PHP developers there are. Maybe there are 7 million. I don't have current figures. Some people say PHP is dying. Okay, let them say that.
I will interrupt you because I have two answers for you. The first is how many PHP developers? Not enough because it's fantastic language. And in terms of is PHP dying, and this is a shameless plug. I actually just wrote a blog post on this on Nomad PHP, and I can safely say that while the number of websites using PHP has declined, mostly because there's a ton more websites using PHP or using different languages, or more websites out there. PHP still powers something like 83% of the top 10,000 websites or something like that. Like it's a ridiculous number. So no, I'm putting it right now. PHP is not dying.
No, no. So everybody wants to shift from PHP to Ruby or Python or whatever. They are also nice languages. We have to admit that the developers that created them and evolved them, they also work hard. So we respect the developers that prefer other languages. So that's preference. We have ours, they have theirs. And what I always say is that you should pick the language or the tools, the frameworks, or the coding styles that make you productive. But
Yes.
ultimately, it's up to you to produce your work. It's not to me. If you use a different framework, it's up to you. Use Laravel, use Zen framework, use YY, Symphony, wow, many of them. It's up to you. If you make a wrong choice for you, the penalty is for you. So if you don't agree with my preferences, that's fine. So those are your preferences. I have to respect. But okay, but let's move on. The
And
PHP is
I just
growing.
want to comment that really quickly, man, if you don't mind, because I think that's so
Yeah,
important
sure.
about choice. And for me, you can use any framework you want as long as it's cake. And I say that because cake's
Sorry,
no,
I forgot to mention K.
there's so many great tools that serve different purposes. And that's the thing people lose sight of is, whether you're Symphony or whether you're Laminas or whether you're Yi or whatever it may be,
Yeah,
you have to choose the tools that are right for you. And that's the other thing that we'll pick on different languages. As a PHP developer, it doesn't hurt to understand the different languages because there are things that other languages excel at that PHP doesn't excel at. Go is great for running server components such as Kubernetes or
yeah,
containerization. Java has its place. Python for machine learning, and then PHP, of course, is the most dominant language on the web for a reason. So I think we lose sight of you use the best tool for the job, and to your point, you use the tools to help you succeed. And if you make a wrong decision, as
yeah.
Manuel put very eloquently, well, that's your price to pay.
Yes, yes, and we are also machines that do mistakes, but the important is not just to be depressed because we did mistakes, but fix your mistakes as soon as possible and repeat what went well, and that's how we will progress. And for the latest years, I've been working a lot. I don't mention much outside what I do because those are details of implementation. They are not important for others, it's internal. But the result is great, but it comes slow. It comes slow also because I work, currently, I work mainly alone, but that will eventually change. But I'm not always alone. If you think PHP classes is content was contributed by over 4,400 developers that shared work for the benefit of almost 1,600,000 developers. It's a lot of people, but it's still a fraction of the whole PHP community. There is a great part that does not use PHP classes, and that's fine. It's up to them. But there is a part that uses it and enjoys it and loves it and takes advantage of it, makes money and be happy. All that in whatever order you prefer. But that's okay. This is just to tell a bit about what we have today. But we need to talk more about the PHP community itself, not just PHP classes. Because as I said, it's just a fraction of the whole community. And what we have today is PHP 8. I have to admit, I have not shifted that to PHP 8 because every new version, there are new features, but there are new bugs. Okay, so I don't tend to jump on the latest version precisely to give the core developers time to get it stable. But if you are brave, I'm admitting I'm not brave, but if you are brave, you can go ahead and tell us how it works. Because the people that go ahead, they can share their feedback and tell, oh, this is not working, this is working well, this needs to be fixed. So everybody is important in whatever version of PHP they are using. I have been shifting to the latest versions of PHP and still not in the latest PHP 7 version because the latest has a few issues. And every time I need to upgrade and figure the issues, it's a lot of code that I need to test and it spends a lot of time. And there's always a chance that something escaped me and I could not figure what it was. And I only realized later when somebody's telling, your site sucks because it's not working here. Oh, really? Oh, I want to check. Oh, it's the latest PHP version. He doesn't care. He just cares that the part of the site that he wanted to use does not work. And I always
Manuel, really
appreciate
quick,
the
I'm going to
criticism.
my take on that because when my site doesn't work, it's usually because of my code. So I got on that.
Maybe.
You brought up a really great point about PHP 8. PHP 8 is new, and one of the things I want to give credit to the core contributors is how much work goes into that.
Yeah.
And we've seen, back from the days of PHP, 3 to 4, the changes in PHP. But I don't want people to be hesitant to upgrade to PHP 8. Well, a lot of people don't realize, and I was behind the curve on this myself. PHP 7 actually has end of life. So like 7.2, I believe it is end of life. So having that chance to upgrade to the latest either 7 version to avoid security issues, or the latest stable 8 version, because there are going to be unstable versions, there's development versions. But to Manuel's point, one of the challenges you have is there are some backwards incompatible things. There are some ways that things operate differently, and when you make that transition, it doesn't always work. But I'm not saying you have to be on the absolute latest version. I think, Manuel, you have the best advice there, which is, it's always not a bad idea to be a version or two, especially a minor version or two behind to let the bugs get worked out, unless there's security issues, in which case, obviously, those vulnerabilities may take precedent. But I don't think we're gonna have time to talk today, but there's so much that's exciting about PHP 8 and what the core team is doing, and we talk about the silent developers. There's so many people on there, and give a shout out to Sammy K and Sarah Goldman and many more that we don't have time to name. Like they're really the true heroes behind the scenes, making this happen. But Manuel, going back really quickly, and we talk about the true heroes who work in the background. I've been working with PHP since probably 2000. Maybe not quite 2000, maybe about 20 years now. And my understanding is PHP classes exceeds that. So how old is PHP classes? And I have to ask, how did you get started with that? And how did you come up with the idea to build PHP classes? And then what have you seen really change over the last 20 years? I mean, that's 2 decades. I can't even fathom that right now.
Yes, well, that's a lot of things to talk about. Well, first, the site was started because I wanted to share my work and get feedback. And feedback could be in form of bug reports and suggestions. And, well, you may think, well, if that's your work, well, why aren't you making money? Now, I don't make money directly from that, but you make money from quality. If you have a good quality product, and if that product addresses needs and desires of your target users that are in the market, they in the end they'll pay you money for that work, and that's how it works. When I started, I didn't know much about business. I have to admit, but that's how it all started. Maybe a few people have learned about business before they started a business. Nowadays, I'm trying to help others to shift it. That will be another story, maybe for another podcast, which is the mentoring. Nowadays, I am a mentor. I can see very big projects coming in the future. They are not related specifically with PHP, but eventually they will be implemented in PHP in the background. So PHP is very powerful in the sense that it powers the background. Whatever code is running behind that site. Many sites are done in PHP. But back to the story of PHP classes. I looked around and I want to share my code in a way that every time I do an update to my code, the users that have tried my code before, they could be notified. I looked at the PHP Code Exchange and David Sklar, and well, this could be the site that I could share my code. I contacted him. Oh, this is great. Can I contribute something to make the site better? To eventually let the users that try my code to be notified, maybe by email, so they can get the latest version. And they said, no. Okay, I respect that. So he didn't want to do that. That's okay. I think the site exists. I don't know what is going today, but since he did not want, I tried to do it myself. I started working on the basics of the site, which is having packages, and also having the possibility for people to register so they can be notified when a package is updated. So I implemented that like in 1 week, and later I saw another site. I'm not sure. I think it was web dev or something, and they had a nice thing. They not only have code of the author of the site, but also have code of others. Oh, let's learn from others, because we can always learn from everybody. I'm learning from everybody every day, and that's a good thing that I also recommend to everybody. We don't know everything. If you know, you believe that you know everything, you are out of your mind. That's not realistic. What's realistic is the knowledge that you learn over time. It's a lot more than you know today. And if you keep learning every day, you will be better and better and better. Better in many aspects. Better ultimately as a human being. But you need always to focus on others, because others are the ones that will tell you if your work is valuable. So I did the site, and I didn't have a way to make money. It was only spending me money for the hosting, spending time a lot to develop new features, and I stayed there like for 2 years. And but I was working on other things. I worked on internet companies in the days that were called the dotcom, the dotcom bubble. It was crazy. A lot of money to be wasted on sites that did not do much that was useful, or if they do it, but they were losing a lot of money. I worked in one of those companies. It was a long time. Those companies do not exist anymore. They bankrupt very quickly because they are not doing the right things. They were copying others, but copying in the wrong way. And I always say, if somebody goes to a hole, are you going to also jump in that hole? Beware of what the others are doing. Just because they are doing it, it doesn't mean it's right. It does mean that they are trying to do something useful. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not. But I have learned a lot. The PHP classes was not very good in the beginning, which is just a repository, and I have to develop a lot of code. I have not checked these days, but last time that I checked, they had like 600,000 lines of code, half of which is generated. It's generated with a tool called meta storage, which does what people call object relational mapping. But I don't do it in the traditional way that frameworks do, like mapping objects. I use a meta language that generates code from a description. And every time I need to improve the generated code, I just improve the description and it works much faster. That's the internals. Anyway, I use that until today. we use a lot the PHP components that I share in PHP class as myself. I use them in the site. If they are useful for me, maybe they are useful for others. Of course, there are many ways to do the same thing, like form processing, newsletter delivery, uh, everything. And that's why PHP classes exists. It provides a way for people to share code that probably already did the same thing, but with their own code. So that was the beginning. Things start growing. And in 2002, 2001, my son was born. And I thought about myself by then. I was in a job that it didn't work very well. I stayed there like for 4 months. It was not even PHP related. It's like management. I didn't like to be in the management then. Nowadays, I'm in the management, but then I did not like that and did not do very well. They fired me, and it was fair. I was not doing a good job, and they even paid money. That part probably was not very fair because they paid money for not doing a good job. Okay, but there is a logic around that. And they paid money, that's fine. And that helped me to survive for over 1 year without making any revenue. Later, in around 2002 and 2003, I started joining ad networks. And those ad networks start generating revenue. But it's not any kind of revenue, it's recurring revenue. And this is the key, actually, one of the keys to success. If you want to succeed in business, you have to have as many sources of recurring revenue as possible. That could be advertising, could be subscriptions, could be hiring contracts. Whatever is recurring is something that repeats. Because you don't need money in this month only, you need money in the next month, in the following month, and the following month. And that's how you at least survive. But you don't just want to survive, you want to evolve. You want to develop new features, develop new code, develop new products and services to serve your community better. And that's the plan. So fast forward to 2021, when we are today, we are in a point that we are about to launch something that involves Mike. That's the part I'm going to shift the talk to Mike because I think it is better for him to talk how we met and what we agreed like a few years ago. Okay.
You're getting me in trouble here. Before we shifted that, I just have to say a couple words because you know me, I can't stop talking. It's what I do. The first, you made so many good points, and I want to chime in, but I didn't want to interrupt because there's so many good points coming. And the first was always be learning. You know, one of the reasons that I started doing talks, I started trying to go to conferences, try to write blogs. It was actually very selfish. I'll be honest. I wanted to learn different things, and I was too lazy to learn it myself. So if I just said, "Hey, I want to learn about artificial intelligence," I knew I wouldn't dedicate the time to do it. So I'd submit a talk to talk about artificial intelligence, and guess what? I've got a talk in 3 months. I have to learn it because I have to talk about it. And there's a lot of speakers that actually do that, where they say, "You know what? I submit talks that I want to learn." And it's, the thing about this industry is you're either learning or you're on your way out. There's no middle ground because technology changes so quickly, so rapidly that if you're not staying up to date, if you said, "You know what? I'm good knowing PHP 4, and then you take a job where they're using PHP 8 and they ask you about a spaceship or they ask you about magic methods, all of a sudden it's a whole different beast. So always be learning, find ways to motivate yourself, whether that's, taking time to study, setting aside time each day, working with your team to motivate your team and getting time to meet with your team, or even saying, I want to give a talk on this, even if it's just my local user group, to share that. The other thing is that knowledge is a gift. It really is. I'm going to go back to my history really quick because PHP classes plays a huge role in it. And I tell people this, and I always tell a story kind of jokingly, but I'll be 100% serious for a second. And that is my career path, my goal in life was to be a life flight paramedic. I wanted to be the guy that got in helicopters, that flew into the emergency scene, that got out there and saved lives. And that's what I went to school for. Prior to that, I'd worked as a first responder. I had taken the EMS or EMTB, as we call it, EMT basic course. And I'd actually been in the field working on emergencies. And what I realized was that to get to where I wanted to be, and this is tremendous respect to all the nurses out there, by the way, because these are incredible people. But we talk about office politics and everything, all the politics and all the challenges that come into medicine. And I remember I had a person who was they were stabbed and they were going into shock. And I wanted to give them oxygen. And I couldn't give them oxygen because we had to call the doctor down to the ER to get a prescription. And that's when I realized medicine wasn't for me. Now, this is important because when I realized that, I had no plan B. This was my entire life plan. This is my entire goal. And so I'm sitting working a minimum wage job, which I had no problem doing, but I had no idea where I was going to go. And I remember that I liked coding, and so I started coding, but I wasn't very good at it. And I came across this site called PHP Classes, and this was before Git. This is back at the times of Tortoise SVN, if people remember using SVN. And PHP Classes was the first repository site where I could look at, here's code that I could do, here's a class of how to do something, and not only let me build applications, but let me dig into that code and learn how to use it. And that was my first foray into trying to learn actual code. And I took a job, and I don't know why they hired me, because I sat in the interview and they asked me about multidimensional arrays. And Manuel, you're gonna love this. I had no clue what they were. I was like, are these like out of space arrays? Like, I'd use single dimension arrays. I didn't even know you could do multidimensional arrays in PHP. And I had used plenty of. I wrote code where it should have been multi. I just had to do these magic workarounds. And then they asked me about this thing called OOP. And this is literally the question. The question was, well, what do you think about and how do you utilize OOP in your code? And I'd never heard of object-oriented programming. So I replied the only way I could, and this is going to date me a little bit here. And I said, and you know me, thinking of the popular hip-hop song. Again, they gave me a job. I don't know why. But then I had people that mentored me and helped me grow. And if it wasn't for those people that mentored me, if it wasn't for the people that committed code on, PHP classes and shared those resources, if it wasn't for people that took the time to even evaluate some of my early talks and early ideas, I would not be here today. I'd be sitting back at, my old job going, what do I do with my life? What's my next step? So it's not just as important to learn, it's important to pass it on and help others and teach others. And that's one of the best ways to learn. And that's, I think honestly that, Manuel, that's why you do PHP classes is to help others. And that's why, I do Nomad is to help others. So I just want to give a big shout out to Manuel, to you, because we talk about how we met. I think I knew of you way before you ever heard of me because of the great work you do with PHP classes.
Yeah, well, I appreciate, but quite honestly, I will be honest, but sometimes you need to say it just to make it clear. Honestly, I do this because I love it, not because I feel I owe it to others. And this is a part of my psychological profile. Everybody has a psychological profile. Mine is mine, yours is yours. Different people have different psychological profiles, but you are not good at everything. But good or whatever, you are good. So when you try to be in the emergencies and felt that is not for you, maybe you realize you are not good at that because something cannot be done all by yourself. You need to collaborate with others. You need to wait for the doctor to get you the prescription, because that's the way it works. And if it takes a lot of time and the person dies because somebody took more time than it should, unfortunately, that happens. But we always need to try to do our best.
Like I said, I sometimes I get tremendous respect for anyone who's working in the EMS field. and
Yeah.
doctors, nurses, firefighters, EMTs.
Yeah.
And I'll get myself in trouble real quick. Law enforcement doesn't. There's a lot of controversy around law enforcement, but there are also, a lot of people who are there on scene to help in medical emergencies as well. So I want to give a big shout out to all
Yes.
those in EMS.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. They're very important. They save lives, and that's the target goal. Some time ago, my wife told me that I was an angel. Oh, me an angel? Oh, you must be kidding. I'm a demon. Some people hate me. They want me to die. They want PHP classes to die. It deserves to die because it's bad. Bad for whom? I don't know. Bad for people that do not participate there. Or not. They just don't care.
I
They just
actually Twitter conversation I had today that this, I'm not going to name names, but someone made the comment that that they just got blocked for the first time, and
Ooh.
yeah, my I've been blocked more times than I'd like to admit, and the first time I got blocked, like what did I say? What I did? Like I felt so bad, and the second time I felt still bad, and now I'm like I must have had an opinion that someone didn't agree with, or something that I didn't agree with every single thing that they had. Like, look, people who say things like, PHP is bad, or Ruby is bad, or Java is bad, or Cold Fusion is bad, or Fortran and COBOL are bad. I've been around the industry long enough that I can tell you they all have use cases. There's pros and cons to each. And we make fun of technology, but I'll pick on COBOL and Fortran. There's a reason they're still around, and large enterprises are still using old mainframes with DB2s. They work, and they did a great job. So, like anybody who says that, it's just kind of one of those things where it says more about them than I think it does, you. And it's unfortunate that we have this toxicity in tech.
Yes. That's an interesting point of view. Actually, I appreciate that you mentioned that because over time, well, I would say more recently, I've studied a lot about psychological profile because there are things I didn't understand on the attitude of others. What I realized is it's a common misconception in the first part of your life, and when you are not very mature. You are not mature enough to realize that the others are different. And when the others are different, they don't want the same things. They don't want even if you don't want the same things, they don't want the same things the same way. You need to respect that. And if you try to push your visions, you'll get in trouble because that's the way all fights start. And fights are a waste of time, a waste of energy, a waste of everything in life. So you rather avoid fights. I already got attracted to fights, but I was not realizing that was a trap because some people are too competitive. They want to win at the expense of others losing. As far as I can remember, I never wanted to compete in the sense of destroying others. I don't desire the worst for the others. I desire that they improve. They try to be better people. I have seen in all these years, like 20 or like 30 or 2095 PHP started, and we are in 2021. So it passed 26 years, I think.
Yeah,
And all this time, I've seen a lot of fights. I try to participate in the PHP core. Often my ideas were refused. By then, I was taking it personal, I admit. I admit I was also not very mature. It was a long time ago because we need to respect the others as well as you want the others to respect you. At the same time, we need to be patient. Nowadays, I'm talking very slowly. I used to talk faster because I was very anxious to say what I wanted to say. But what is important is that over time, things will evolve. You need to be patient because good things take time to happen. That's part of the reason we are here now and not in 2018 when we met in person. Like it was I went there to our event in Google. Actually, it was not Google office in the beginning, but I met Mike in person. He's a really good person. Okay, if you think he's mean, it's wrong. He's a very nice person.
Well,
Okay.
in fairness, I'm pretty sure there's some people who have very valid reason to believe I'm mean.
Yes.
No, I mean,
Another thing that I discovered in life is that people are not good or bad. They have bad moments and good moments. So I have to admit I have bad moments. And some people think I'm mean because I had my bad moments. And I wish to apologize to them because it was not my intention. Because sometimes you get very stressed with the situations. You're trying to do your best to help others and they refuse. And I didn't quite understand that. They refuse because they are different. They prefer something else. Okay. So if somebody is listening that felt offended or something like that, please accept my sincere apologies. I'm being very serious with that because just like I want to respect of others, others also want my respect and everybody else. So
I'm gonna blow up the entire
that's
stream here really quickly if I can, Manuel, because what you're saying is so important, and this is not a topic we talked about or plan to talk about. So like we're a little bit off gear here, but I think it's so important to talk about it. You know, in the U.S. right now, there's a lot of divisiveness, and one of the things I think we're very good at, and this is just humans in general, is talking and not listening. And,
yeah,
and the problem is we get so passionate about things because we want
yeah,
things to be perfect. And it's funny, you talk about personalities with developers. I like the insights discovery model, and it refers to developers typically as this cool blue, which is very formal but also very skeptical, and this fiery red, which is get it done, get it down, give it to me in bullet points. That's kind of typical leader combination of developers, and that's something that we see roll over in tech, and we see on Twitter and Reddit and other channels, is so many people talking to each other versus trying to listen to understand the other person.
yeah,
And with PHP and your recommendations, what you want to see early on, in the end, we all want to see, I think, the same things. And it doesn't matter if it's a PHP developer or front end developer, or if it's, you versus me, or I'm like, here's what I'll build the stream to myself. If it's Democrat, or Republican, I think everyone at the end of the day wants to have, good things happen. They want a successful outcome. They have different opinions of what that means. They have different opinions or ways that they want to see things done or that they prefer seeing things done. And they're very passionate about what they think is the right way to do it. And
yes,
one of the things I've had to learn is what we think is right doesn't mean it's the only way. Doesn't mean
yeah,
it's the correct way. And a lot of times the answer's in the middle. And so I really appreciate
yeah,
you bringing this up and talking about the importance of communication, the importance of listening, and the importance of creating trust and developing those bonds. Because what we've seen, again, U.S., where we have, this party's trying to destroy the country, this party's trying to destroy the country. I have friends on, well, I'm sounding like a politician. I have friends on both sides of the aisle, and they're great people. They're great people. And in the PHP community, I've had friends who are great people that absolutely hate each other and create this drama, and it hurts the community. And that's what we have
yeah,
to keep
yeah.
in mind is
That's
what's the
true.
greater goal.
Yes, but don't worry because all those negative feelings they are temporary. Oh, I hate you. I hate you. That's what you said then. Tomorrow you'll love me.
Well, again, I can express I already appreciate all that you've done because, like I said, without the work you've done, no, I wouldn't be here, and I appreciate being invited on the podcast.
Yeah, no,
So,
no. I think you are very humble. That's the truth, and that is a good thing because you have your value. Everybody has his value. What we have different values because we have different psychological profiles, as I said, and what matters is that we collaborate for the greater good.
absolutely. By the way,
Okay,
I need
I
you to tell
also
my.
apologize
I
if
was
I'm
just saying,
sounding
I
like a
need you to
priest.
tell my fiance that I'm humble, because I keep telling her I'm the most humble person on the planet, but she doesn't believe me.
Okay. No, she's just being funny. Don't worry. I'm sure she loves you. Okay. Well, anyway, this is just to say that attitude is important. And I have to try to improve my own attitude over time. Because one of the most difficult things about human beings is to know themselves, who I am. Because what you think you are, it's different what the others think about you, because they have a different point of view.
Mhm.
So they sometimes they see you backwards. So your right eye points to the different eye of them that is in the same direction, but it's the eye they have in the other side. Okay, so it's inverted. So you
Okay.
need to understand the inverted logic.
I have to throw us out here, and I'm with myself in trouble. And I'm going to go medical geek on you for a quick second, because you know that you have, you're talking about the right eye, and then there's the left eye, and the right hand and the left hand. You know what refers to the left side of the body? The medical terminology for that is sinister. So you can truly say that if
Oh,
you come across somebody who's left-handed, that they're a sinister person, or in the case of the eye, that the name is ocular sinister.
I didn't
um,
know about that. I don't know. I'll have to check.
to add insult to injury,
Yeah.
ambidextrous or ocular dextra refers to having two right sides, so two right hands. So well, just the things in medicine that get me. But sorry, I don't know why I took us on this tangent. But for
Yes.
anybody who ever
No, it's
wants
about attitude. It's about attitude. And attitude is important. The PHP.
my mom's left-handed, and so I shared that with her, and she was not happy with me.
Okay. Well, mothers are never happy with their children. They want them to get better. And I
No,
think that was
I'm
the
just,
way it worked with my
I'm
mother.
picking.
My
My mom
mother
is
is
an
dead now,
amazing
but
woman.
I remember them. She was never happy with me. She wanted me to get better. Get better. If you
No,
need a computer,
I have to
take
give a
this
shout out.
computer.
It was
Leave
just
it.
Father's Day. Incredible father. I'm very grateful. Incredible mother. Thank you to them both for all that they've done. And I'm sorry, Mom, for picking you on this stream.
Oh, how could she be listening?
Oh, I'm sure she will. Someone will share this eventually.
Yes, your wife will share it. We're
And we
also
might watch it.
daily.
And he said he was humble.
No, being humble is like admitting that you don't know everything, and you are willing to learn to get better. That's all things though. If you
Yeah.
think, I met a lot of people that act as if they know everything. No, you're wrong, man. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. So if I'm wrong, why aren't you that much successful? Why aren't you making millions? Oh, aren't you rich? Why aren't you Bill Gates? Because you are not Bill Gates. Bill Gates took a lot of time to be successful. People undervalue the story of others because they don't realize that when I started PHP classes, I was like 30 years old.
Mhm.
Okay. What did I do in the previous 30 years? I learned a lot. I started programming when I was 13. I didn't even have a computer. I write programs in paper. And then I type them into the computer of my friend. And then it worked. Okay, but it was a lot of time. That's what happens when people love what they do. So I love software development. It's not news, but what I did in the beginning was ugly, like everybody. We're
Amy
trying,
looks
dude.
back at their code and says, "Hey, this was great." I don't look at my code for a reason anymore. I write it. It goes production. I just pretend that it doesn't exist.
No, well, you should value yourself more because when you were learning, you still could do pretty amazing things. Even if the code was ugly, that's just the aesthetics, but the functionality was there. When I started with basic, the basic language on a 8-bit computer, and then I learned the machine code. It
Mhm.
was very, very deep. And I was so addicted to that I would even know the length of time that each instruction of the CPU would take to execute its
Oh wow!
its instruction. But because I was always optimizing, and premature optimization is the root of all evil, according to Donald. And I agree. You should not optimize first. First, you should do something that works, then you optimize it later. Because sometimes you will be optimizing bugs. Oh, this bug is even better now. It's causing more distraction than before. So you should first make it work and then optimize. But in the early days, it would be a very low level. Of course, there are lower levels, but that's up to my teacher to have the experience to deal with punch cards. The old days, those old timers. Now we are the old timers because man, you did machine code. Okay, that was a lot of fun. Now it's a lot of time we spent loading programs from cassette tapes. Do you remember cassette tapes?
It's kind of funny when you mentioned the punch cards. You got me thinking like Y2K as well. But yeah, let's go to cassette tapes here.
The awful bug that isn't doing much.
But to credit of a lot of people who put a lot of work, especially in the financial software, to get it fixed. So it's kind of funny, like the software that you and I use every day. We're like, oh no, it's all good, but at the same time, they're working frankly in the background to make sure that our bank accounts don't completely crash.
Yes. But the good thing is that times passed and everybody evolved. Either we evolve because we want to be in the front. We want to be maybe not the first, but in the few that are trying new things, or we evolve because the reality is pushing you. You cannot stay in the past. You cannot stay using things like this. I still have this.
I love it. That is amazing.
It's a telephone that rings.
It's an indestructible telephone. Okay, so we got to take a step back. We're talking about some of this stuff, and it just hit me. Y2K was 21 years ago. Half the people listening probably have no idea what cassette tapes were, what Y2K is, or what a Nokia phone truly is. So let me jump back to Y2K to explain the whole dilemma, and then I'm going to turn back to you to talk about this Nokia phone, because you can literally run those things over with a semi, and it'll just be like, what was that? But you talk about optimization and thinking things through, and this is one of the learnings that people get as they build technology. For the young people here, so we're talking late millennials and our Gen Zers. One of the challenges is that when they wrote software back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they wrote software back in the 60s. I know a lot of Gen Z's like, no, software's new. Actually, a lot of things we talk about in software are from the 60s. We talk about like things like hypermedia, and hypermedia was like theorized back in the 70s. But anyways, I digress. So when they wrote the software, they wrote it with a 2-digit year to save memory, because at that time we didn't even have dial-up internet yet. With people complain because they only get 500 megs down on a gigabit connection. I was happy if I got 2.5 kilobytes per second at times via my telephone line to do dial-up. But because they made it with the 2 digits, the problem it had is it would start doing date comparisons. So it would be like, okay, the year is 85. The year is 92. Well, the second it hit 2000, it just intuitively rolled over. So now the year is 00. And so all of a sudden, all those calculations of 95 minus 87 equals 12. Now you have 00 minus 97 is negative 97, which blew up, and would have blown up literally our financial service systems and many other solutions that had this code right in from early software. Now, thankfully, I don't think we have to worry about another Y2K bug, but you missed a great era, because we had screensavers that had the Y2K bug eating computers. We had, there was big dilemmas. Billions of dollars went in to solve the problem. But that just shows
in the end, it was not a big problem.
Well, it wasn't, but because of all the work that went into it, like, I think
Yes.
there's a lot of joking around afterwards. And one of my favorite conversations was with and I can't say the name of the company, but it was with a person from a financial service company, and he was sharing. He goes, "Yeah," he goes, most of the world had no issue with it. There was no big deal, but for us, I think the travel industry as well. Uh, what people don't know is, had we not got those changes in, our systems would have gone down.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so it's amazing again what you don't see, what happens in the background.
Yeah.
Um, but as you're working on software, as you're building software, that's also the big difference between a junior developer and a senior engineer. Junior developer, we're going to build as quickly as we can, get out the door. Uh, Senior engineer, is taking time to understand. Here's all that could go wrong. Here's the security risks. Here's how I mitigate
Yeah.
that. Which takes the biggest misconception that if you hire a senior engineer, the work will get done faster. Actually, a lot of times it's going
Yes.
to get done slower. It's just be done in a way that's going to mitigate a lot of different risk factors that someone may not have thought of, because in fairness to them, they may not have had the experience. And the reason a lot of us are senior engineers, whatever it may be, is because we've made the mistakes 1,000 times and we've learned from those mistakes.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but that was the past. Now back to the present, because we starting talking. I don't know if you can already talk about this, because it's up to you.
Mhm.
The we getting back to the present and the near future. The PHP classes site is going to launch the PHP classes marketplace. It's just an expansion of the current shopping section. It needs a lot of work to improve, at least in the part of the periods, but most of the functionality is working since 2007 when it was started. It was started to start selling premium subscriptions. Premium subscriptions' main benefits are to provide access to remote work jobs. It was started a long time ago before the pandemic, and now remote jobs are a common thing. Still, there is a lot of demand for available developers that are qualified. And those keywords are very important. Available and qualified. Available means that you are not busy on something else, and qualified means that you have X years experience. Just recently, a company has hired us to find developers to work on a project that requires the use of the YII framework. I'm not sure if that's the right way to spell it, but they are finding it hard to find developers who that have X years of experience. So we try to find those developers from those that are in the site. Maybe they are available, not. Sometimes they are available, but they don't like the way companies work. They prefer to do their own code. Then sometimes they are available in terms of time, but they are not available in terms of capabilities. So we are in a point to launch something that hopefully will be big. I don't know how big. I'll try. I'm sure it won't be big soon. It will be big over time, because it's a common pattern of success. A success of what? A business. Although it's not just a matter of a technical matter of programming, because programming exists just to serve in the end business purposes. So people do not program just because they want to write programs that work. They program because that code is useful for some function. Often companies hire you to make money in the end. So in the middle, they need to serve customers. And customers are the most important people in a business, because you are always trying to serve customers. Customers need to attract more customers if they are in a business, or they need to serve personal needs and desires. So back to Mike, I think it would be important to talk about the point that we met, and then what to your proposal.
Well, I
Are
appreciate that.
you ready to
I'll
talk
have a
about
way
that,
big
or is it
tangent.
too soon?
Yeah, no, so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I had the privilege of, I think, being runner-up for an innovation award at PHP Classes. I think that's the first time you and I ever really communicated. I think I got that email saying, "Hey, you were runner-up and you can claim a prize." Which, by the way, another great reason to contribute to phpclasses.org. And then I think over the years we just kind of stayed in touch, talking about different opportunities in the industry. And then, uh, you know, uh, about 3 years ago, I had the privilege of taking over Nomad PHP for Cal Evans, who is justly called the godfather of PHP, and he
Yeah.
created really
Kudos
Nomad
to
PHP.
Cal.
Yes, yeah, big shout out to Cal. And we created and to Kathy, who does a lot of work as well in the PHP community. And anyways, when Cal and Kathy created Nomad PHP, it was designed to be a way to bring developers together who might not have a local meetup. And one of the key focuses there was, again, growing up in rural Minnesota, where the closest meet was 4 hours away, and I couldn't afford to go to the other conferences. It was such a critical service to keep going, and thankfully, and I'm so grateful that Cal gave me the opportunity to continue building on this tremendous legacy
Yeah.
that he built with Nomad. And so I think I bugged you a few times. I said, "Hey, I've got this project. I've got some ideas." And Manuel, I really appreciate the business advice you've given me, the different things we've talked about, it's kind of your mentorship. And then, yeah, sure enough, I found out you were coming to the Bay Area for a conference, and
Yes, a Google conference. Okay.
yeah, and I'm gonna say this is gonna sound kind of crazy, but I feel very, very lucky because, there have been several different people who've had a tremendous impact on my life. Uh, One of those is Larry Ullman. Larry Ullman wrote the book Quick Start to PHP. That was my first PHP programming book. That's how I got my start. By the way, if you've never met Larry, if you ever have the chance to, Larry's one of the nicest guys you ever meet. I have a story I'll tell about Larry later in a podcast, a different podcast, about being humble and having humility. But one of the smartest, nicest, most genuine people I've ever met. Big shout out to Larry. Another person I had a chance to meet was Davey Shavik, who wrote the Zen PHP study guide. He actually critiqued some of my slides early on, which was a big moment for me because it helped me grow. Meeting Davey, again, incredible because Davey is also such a great guy, and he does so much. He was involved with PHP Women. He was heavily involved in Engine Yard in the days when Engine Yard is active in the community. He just did so much. And then, of course, top it all off, here I am, and I get the email that you're coming to town, and that's kind of the trifecta because, again, you middle people and me growing and being in this field, and much like Larry and Dave, I don't think you knew it, but you were, and so that's how we met, and grateful, and we had a great dinner, talked, a great chance to catch up, and I think that was just the start of a good friendship here.
Yes, and who knows more? Because the future is ahead, and I'm sure I've studied a lot of psychology profiles. And from what I gather, you and I are compatible in business. So that means you can be partners. But in practice, we are already partners. We just didn't happen to launch something together because it took a lot of time. So it was like 2 years and a half.
Mm-hmm. And this is where
why can that things take so much time? Because if you want to get them well
right,
done,
not fast.
yes,
But no,
it's a lot of details.
Yeah, and very excited. And I'll just do a quick shout out if you don't mind, because I think you kind of alluded to it. One of the things that's going to be very exciting. And I'm going to speak about Nomad really quickly, and then I'll get the announcement because you know me, I can't just take the straightforward answer. Since taking over Nomad, both Tanya and I have been very focused on trying to make it, again, a place where any PHP developer can go, be a part of the community, and learn. And so we started adding new things. So it's no longer just an online meetup where we have monthly talks. And every month we have at least one, if not two, live talks from industry experts. So we talk about learning from other people's mistakes. They're sharing, here's what I did, here's how I did it, and here's what you should do. And these include established authors, speakers, etc. But we also started streaming live PHP conferences. This means that you can watch 4 to 5 PHP conferences from around the world every year. And some of the conferences we've streamed include the Camper Developer Series. It includes Midwest PHP, Cascadia PHP, Dutch PHP, Dark Mirror PHP Tour, Cake Fest. So there's different conferences you can stream, and that's included with your subscription. And then also a book library, so the ability to download books, read books on demand, and watch over 300 videos on PHP on demand to grow your skills. So if you're trying to learn about security, trying to learn about APIs, trying to learn about performance, you can take a look at that. And last, professional PHP certification. So if you're trying to, really show that you've demonstrated a level of knowledge, and we've tried to build an exam that is equivalent with other industry exams out there, and is also included with your subscription. Now, the exciting thing is that subscription will now be available through PHP classes through the marketplace. So all those things I just mentioned, you'll be able to access through PHP classes through the marketplace. So you'll be able to subscribe to Nomad PHP, and you'll be able to take advantage of all those great resources. And very excited to work with Manuel on that and make those available because Nomad PHP is what I wish I had growing up. I'll just be very honest. It's what I wish I had growing up.
Yes, I think it has a lot of potential because one key point, it's about learning. And learning is the way to progress. If you don't progress, you get stuck. You get stuck in the past. And that's not a good thing. The best thing is to move ahead. And learning is the best. And the part of Nomad PHP that matters is the technical part. And it is very fortunate this meeting that we had 2.5 years ago, but for reasons that may not be obvious, because you and I combine in several aspects, which means that the potential that we have after this combination is yet unknown, but I suspect it will be very good, not just for me, just for you, but the community as a whole. Because if we start to name PHP classes, which is just a fortunate coincidence, it was meant to the meaning was that it was a place where people could get classes about objects written in PHP. However, the word classes in English is ambiguous. It can also mean classes as in teaching. And I had over time lots and lots of people asking me for PHP courses. I don't have PHP courses here. I'm not even the best people that could be a teacher of PHP. What I can be is a mentor. But a mentor is not exactly a teacher. A mentor is somebody that provides guidance. Helps other people taking good decisions that may make a difference for their own life. And I also didn't know that I could be a mentor. I only realized that like in 2015 when somebody told me that, those motivational coaches, I was telling them, well, the coach doesn't solve much of the people's problem. The coach that is motivational, it just motivates the person in the moment. 10 days after that big meeting, that big event, the coach event that some people paid a lot of money to attend, they lost motivation. Why? Because the coach is not there anymore. The coach is not there pushing. And the role of the coach is to push until you succeed. When you succeed, you can fly by yourself. Okay? So you need to launch. Launch what? Launch whatever you are best at, but you still don't know what you can do until you try it. Or you learn from others what you can do. This is probably going to be a topic for a future podcast because it's about vocation. I've been studying natural vocation since like a few years ago, and I realized that what you can be is way much more than you are today. You can be many things. I know that Mike, for instance, can be a teacher. I think he's already a teacher in practice, but it's not just that. There's a very
I'm
important.
going to stop you right there. I actually had the privilege of teaching a freshman class of a high school.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this for the high school teachers. God bless you. You're amazing. You do incredible work. And I am so grateful to have people like you in this world because I couldn't.
Yes, okay. Yes, but there is one area that is really, really important that you can take a major role, which is business growth. Business growth means my business is at this size, I have these customers, I don't get much after this, but you can be a person that not only gives the motivation, but also the knowledge, the guidance, the advice, the ideas to move on. So you already helping me to help others because I didn't think about the marketplace until you told me. And sometimes the solution is under your nose. I just returned from a supermarket, which is exactly a marketplace, but for groceries, common things that you buy in a supermarket. Today, the business owner, the founder, was there. I wanted to talk with him, but I didn't. I don't know, it would probably be awkward. And I was in a rush because I wanted to get back to this podcast. And but the business owner is the example for the others, and the others must follow. This is more complex than I'm telling you now. Not everybody has the characteristics to be a great business owner. You need to have at least one people that has determination. I realize that I have determination. That's why PHP classes exist until today, against the odds of those people that were in a bad mood and did not like PHP classes to succeed. They wanted to die. It didn't. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I still respect the people that disagree. Uh, that means that sometimes you need to struggle against the odds. It's to struggle against people that do not like you. Why they don't like you? Because we are different, and they think you have to be like them, and we don't have to be that. But you have to be authentic. You have to be yourself. You have to take yourself to the full potential. So I'm sure that Mike will be a great business person. He's already have the right attitude. He's humble, he's honest, he's respectful, he's a lot of other things that are important. I'm sure his wife agrees, or else she
For
wouldn't have
any
married him.
VCs listening here, please take that to heart. No,
No,
you know,
no.
I mean,
I'm
I
not just
appreciate that,
business
but
you. That's it.
I appreciate that, but I mean that's really great advice for anybody because whether it's business, whether it's working your way up as a developer, no matter what you do in life, and I just realized this is now me being the old guy speaking. Whatever you do in life, like you're gonna have obstacles, you're gonna have challenges, and I hear people talk, on Twitter and say that they had a manager who didn't believe in them or someone who didn't give them a chance. Um, I'm going to share another quick story, and I know we're running close on time. But I want to share the story because I think it's so important because it speaks to what you're talking about with the obstacles.
Yeah.
Moving from being a student of the nursing program to learn about medicine to tech, and
Yeah.
taking a tech job, I didn't have the credentials to be a developer according to a lot of places. I didn't have a computer software or computer engineering or computer science degree, and I got passed up by a lot of businesses. Uh, I didn't have always supportive managers. I had some managers who did not feel I belonged in tech, and I'm not going to name places. I'm not going to name names, but one conversation I will never forget is first day on the job. I met with the one person, and they said, "I voted against hiring you." And I was like, "Hey, it's great to work with you too." I'm literally, it's like, what do you do? And I will, tell people that I wish I could say that attitude changed. I wish I could say that, I was given a fair shake. I wasn't, and it was a miserable job. And I'm not naming names, but you have to persevere. You have to overcome that. And I empathize when people say they didn't give me a shot, they didn't give me an opportunity, they weren't fair, they didn't because as my father used to tell me, life's not fair, and having gone through that, I know how much it's just there's no better word, how much it sucks. How much it sucks to fall flat on your face again and again and again and not feel like you're going forward. And I did that really for the first part of my career. I wasn't just one job where I fell flat or didn't feel like I met expectations. Thankfully, I had people that mentored me, that believed in me, that pushed me forward. But you're going to have adversity, no matter what you do in life. There'll be
Yeah.
adversity, and you know that you're not alone because while there's plenty of people who tell you you can't do it, um, a lot of people say that you can't do it. It's just funny. I'm going to share this last thing. What's funny is I can tell how good of an engineer someone is, how good they really are by how they treat others. Because the really talented engineers in our community, the really, really good ones, are some of the nicest people I've met. And some of the biggest jerks in the community can't code to save their lives. I'm just being flat out honest.
Okay.
And same thing, in Silicon Valley, you get some people, and I'll pick on the VCs. You have people in Silicon Valley that talk about business and how to do business right, and they tell you what you can and can't. I'm gonna tell the Larry Ullman story. I wasn't gonna do it, but you got me talking. Um, uh, so I'm gonna share this, and this is one of the things that makes me respect Larry so much. If you don't know who Larry Ullman is, he's the author of the Quick Start Guide series,
Yeah.
and he has I think it's over 30 books. It's some ridiculous number. And I'm at a conference with Larry, and Larry and I are talking, and this is how humble the guy is. Because I'm sitting going like, man, it's so great to see you again. Like, I can't wait for your talk. He goes, oh, I'm really interested in your talk too. I'm like, dude, you taught me everything I know to get started with PHP. Like, you don't need to come to my talk. Like, you're beyond me. But we're talking, and this young man walks up and he asks what we're talking about. And Larry says, well, I'm thinking about a new book. And the guy's like, oh, well, what's your idea? And so Larry shares the idea. And then as the guy's talking, he starts asking Larry more questions about the book. And every time Larry answers the question, this young man goes, that's not going to work. And I kid you not, it was about a 20-minute conversation where everything Larry said, this guy disagreed, told him he was doing it wrong, and told him how to fix it. And after 20 minutes, Larry, and I kid you not, because Larry's a much better person than I am, he thanks the individual for his time, he thanks him for his advice, and he excuses himself to go give his talk. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting here just dumbfounded. I'm like, I can't believe it just happened. And the guy turns to me and he goes, I kind of feel bad for him. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
why?
Okay.
And he goes, well, I'm writing my first book, and I know how hard it is, and he just doesn't have what it takes. And I lost it. I lost that point. I'm like, do you know who that was? He's like, no, that's Larry Ullman. He goes, oh, well, the name sounds familiar. Like, it should. He's written 30 books. The publisher has already paid him for this book. Like, there's no question he's getting published. But that's the type of people that you're going to deal with. You talk about people who know everything, even though they haven't done it. They have the knowledge, or they think they're, again, going back to VC, one of the more fun conversations I had with the VC is you hear these people who are just jerks, like, I got money. And I'm sitting at this meetup and I'm talking with this guy, and this guy asked me if he can have a cup of coffee. I'm like, oh yeah, you help yourself to coffee. We got snacks. If you want a beer, grab a beer. And we're just talking. And this is the nicest guy I've ever met. And after the conversation's done, he hands me his card. And he goes, I really appreciate letting me hang out. I was kind of, didn't have any plans for tonight. I saw this. I was curious. I walked in not knowing what it was. He goes, and I don't really have a use case for your technology. He goes, but I'm pretty sure my businesses do. And again, I'm not naming names, but he was a major player in the VC space and the nicest guy you ever met. And from the conversation, you would not have known it. So when someone tells you how good they are, my dad
Yeah.
used to say, don't tell people how good you are. Let others tell them for you. When someone starts telling you what you can do, what you can't do,
Yeah.
chances
Sure.
are
And
they have no clue.
yes, and the value that you can provide to the world, it's not exactly you, it's your work. It's the result of your work. So if you code, the value is your code. It's not you. It's just something that you created, you produced, and you released and made it available to others. And those are important steps for you to succeed. Those are part of the steps of what is called the hero journey. I don't know if you have heard the hero journey. It's a pattern of stories of the lives of everybody. Everybody can be the hero of others, but it's up to others to tell. It's not up to me to tell the just manual. Some people hate me. They think they are my enemies. Oh, I have enemies. That's amazing. But what harm have I done to them? Sometimes we have not done any harm. Sometimes you just look for them in a way they got scared. They felt they were very small compared to. But well, look, it's not the size of the person. It's what you can share with them. If you can share good knowledge, that's very important because knowledge is the beginning of everything. And anyway, we need to conclude.
Yes. Before we
You
one
are
quick,
about to
one quick,
tell
one quick
about
comment
your
before we
importance.
close here, if I can, really quickly. Sorry, because you said something that's really important. You know, my goal in life is to have a positive impact on at least one person. That's my entire goal in life. If I can accomplish that, I will succeed in what I think my purpose is. And the one thing that we get lost on is it's not what others think of you. It's not other people's perception. It's what you think of yourself and why you're doing it. And to Manuel's
Yeah.
point, he's had plenty of haters. I will promise, like I can just again, I'm not going to name plenty of haters. You're always have people who disagree, always have people who have issues, but I'm not doing what I do for them. I'm doing it because my goal is to help other people, and I'm not going to let them stop me from trying to help others. And I'm not going to their perception of me, which I completely disagree with, change that. And that's important for you too. Again, I'm not that smart. You can ask my teachers; they'll tell you I'm not that smart. My goal though was I like coding. I enjoyed it. I want to learn. I want to put in the work, and I want to grow. And thankfully, there's a tremendous PHP community that was willing to help me. And if you want to know code, if you want to learn, and I'm going to throw this offer. If you can't afford Nomad PHP, shoot me an email. We'll get you a subscription. I don't want anybody to miss out on having the materials,
that's
having the
right.
resources. We want you to learn. We want you to grow. And I don't care what anyone tells you. If you want to do it, you can do it. Whatever you put your mind to. I mean, there's some limitations. I want to be an NBA player. I'm 5'11" and I have bad knees and I can't jump. So there's some limitations. But coding doesn't have that limitation. So whatever you want to do, don't let other people stop you. Don't let other people get in the way. Don't let people who take issue with you stop your dreams, because there's a reason they're called your dreams. And with that, I will stop talking. I'll pass it back over to you to close. Before we close, I should do a quick thank you to Ring Central again for sponsoring this episode. I love when a company sponsors, so that just you and I can just talk for an hour. So again, a big thank you to Ring Central on that. And Manuel, again, thank you for letting me join you for this kind of Return of the Jedi's, and hopefully I wasn't the Darth Vader or Darth Maul or whoever on this
We are
one.
not Jedi. I have a sword there, but it's fake. I also have something nice. Look. Do you know what this is?
Okay, I'm going to say that looks like Aladdin's lamp, which will be epically amazing if it is.
Yes, but it's fake.
Oh, I was waiting for the genie. I was waiting for the genie.
Okay, that's what I realized. Some time ago, I went to see the Aladdin movie with my wife, and I wanted to know what was her point of view. I asked her, if I were character of the Aladdin movie, what would I be? I said, oh, you would be the genie. I was just kidding. I'm not the genie, just Manuel. Okay. Why I am a genie? No, that's part of my psychological profile. And sometimes you don't realize that about you. Because everybody has a potential, everybody has psychological characteristics that could be put in favor of others. So what I usually do with this is, let's pretend that you rub this lamp and I came out of it. Let's pretend I'm a genie. Okay, let's pretend it. It won't hurt. We are pretending, okay? We are being clear.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm actually terrified where this is going.
But okay, the truth, the plan is every genie gives some wishes, or tries to fulfill the wishes. Let's pretend I'm a genie, and but you are a nice person. You don't deserve just 3 wishes. You have unlimited wishes, because I'm sure 3 is not sufficient for you. I'm sure you have dreams, and you just need to tell me what they will be, and I'll try to make them happen. I don't know when. Sometimes making wishes happen takes a lot of time. It's not like in the movie that it's like that. It's not. Sometimes it can be because the wishes were already fulfilled. And so, given that, you have unlimited wishes. So go ahead and start telling me what would be your first wish. I'll try to realize. I don't know how, but I don't even know what is your wish. But let's listen to you.
My wishes? Are you asking me for my wishes?
Yes.
Ooh, um, man, this is a question where I need to prep for. Um, honestly, I feel very blessed in life. There's a lot of things that a person can wish that they have or want to change. But the reality is, at the same time, we can't lose sight, for me, I can't lose sight of what I have had and how blessed I've been. One of the lessons I learned from EMS was, life can be very short. And, it's actually about 10 years ago now, on December 23rd, my father had a massive myocardial infarction, or basically a severe heart attack. And the term of the heart attack, the nickname is called the Widowmaker, because it has less than a 1% chance of survival.
Oh.
December 25th, my father woke up, and he survived the heart attack. And the doctor told him he had 5 years to live. And here we are 10 years later. And I'm so incredibly grateful for that. And like, those are the things to me that there are so many things that can be done, but I don't want to lose sight of how blessed I've been. And no matter the circumstance, how we can always do something. I was teaching a first aid course, and I had a quadriplegic individual. And if you're not familiar with the term, he could move his head, and he could use a straw to speak. And he would do is he'd type on his computer, and that's how he spoke. And that was the extent of his movability. And I had to break the news to him that because you are physically required to demonstrate the skill of CPR, he cannot pass the class. And I told him that. I said, I'm sorry, but I can't certify you in CPR. And the crazy thing is, I've had a lot of people who are fully able, who just didn't want to be there. They didn't want to be in the course. They didn't want to take time to learn. It didn't matter if it might actually save somebody's life, which, by the way, if you haven't taken a first aid CPR course, I encourage you to do so, because the chance of you having to help a complete stranger is pretty low. It's less than 5%. So if you're thinking about, I'm walking on the street, you see me collapse and need to do CPR, no, you're probably not. The chance of it being a coworker, someone that you work with, is 15%. So there's a decent chance it might be somebody at work, but the chance of being a family member is 80%. You will run into a scenario sometime in your life, and that's why I encourage that. But again, some people don't want to be there. And so I tell this individual that he cannot pass. I cannot certify him. And he made me feel like absolute crap, because his response was, that's okay. Because even though I can't do the skill, if someone needs help, I can tell someone else how to.
Yeah.
He looked at his capabilities, what he has, and how blessed he's been, not at all the things that he didn't have that other people do. So going back to your 3 wishes.
More.
My first
Unlimited wishes.
No, unlimited wishes. My first wish is to have a positive impact on others. And I'm, trying to grow and trying to be a better person. And, it's so easy to engage in some of the drama that happens to me. I'm trying to stay out of that and try to be more, I guess, a better example in that regard. That's wish number 1, that I can help at least one person grow, that I can help at least one person and transform their life the way people have transformed mine.
Yeah.
Um, the
Just one
second
person.
is that uh, I can be, or that I, yeah, that I can be content uh, with not just content, that I can recognize and be grateful for all the blessings I've had in my life. And
Yeah.
people talk about lives. I'm not going to dive into it. I'm not going to tell you my life was hard, because there are plenty of people who had much more difficult and challenging times than I'm not going to tell you my life was easy, because there are people who've had haven't had to have some of the challenges I've had. Um, it's my life. The only life I can speak to is the one that I live. But I do feel so incredibly blessed that at the end of the day, those are my two wishes. And for the other wishes, they're icing on the cake.
Okay, so the first one is just to make impact in one person.
If I can make if I can make a difference in one person's life, and don't get me wrong, I'm not going to oh, hey, I helped. One person says you changed my life, and I'm like, great, I'm just going to stop, because then there's one more person to help.
No, you already
That's my goal.
fulfilled that wish, because you already changed my life. Okay, because I didn't think of implementing the marketplace until you told me. So
I think you really are a genie here. Sorry, fulfilled.
No, that was easy.
That
That shouldn't count. I mean, the wish is for the future, because eventually your work in Nomad PHP, as we know, was based on work of Carl Evans, and we should always be grateful to him to get started, because the founder has a spirit that is very important. The spirit of someone that starts creating something. He has the courage to move on, and then he passed it to you. For whatever reasons, maybe he didn't have much time to continue, and you are fulfilling that gap.
I'll
And
take
I'm
it.
sure.
Take it. I think he's like, anybody but Mike. Anybody? No, okay, fine, Mike, you can have it.
Yeah. So I'm sure you will make an impact in way much more people than just one, because I have analyzed what you did in Nomad PHP. It's a business based on learning, and it's paid by subscription, and the subscription is affordable. Those are very important characteristics for success of a business. So being successful and making positive impacts on people is very, very easy. Very easy, because it's just a matter of time. That's because we will be collaborating. Nobody does everything alone. We always do
That's very true.
in collaboration. So that one is easy, but of course it will take time, because we did not launch yet the marketplace. It is coming. We need to solve a few challenges. I have to also say that I'm already collaborating with other companies that have products or service for the PHP community. Most of them were already sponsors of the PHP Innovation Award. And I also have to say there is a new award that was starting recently, which is the PHP Development Master Award, which aims to distinguish people that not only provide great components, but they also provide great tutorials, because tutorials are very important to teach people how to use their code. The code sometimes is missing documentation at the minimum and the examples, so people can learn. But still, that is not the best way to teach. The best way to teach is to give the thing that people commonly call the recipe, which is the step-by-step tutorial. And they have the ingredients, so you need to have this, and that. Then you start going step by step. But let's show this in video. So you are already doing all that. So
I do
success.
appreciate that, and likewise, again, all that you've done to help the community. Like I said, you're a big reason that I can be here talking to you today about tech. So I want to just express that gratitude again.
Yeah. And maybe I have a few things to review, not today, but some other time, because this podcast is already long, it's 1 hour and a half. But what is important is that there is intention to collaborate. And they have it written in the PHP Innovation Award page that collaborating is better than competing, because collaboration aggregates and competition often subtracts. People go to wars because of competition. And in the end, it doesn't matter. It's not about me or you, it's about them, the whole community that's outside. And that's a lot of people. And if you can help one, we can help 100, 1,000, 1,000,000, maybe. Let's see if we get there. But there will be a lot of work to be done because it's many, many, many details. And nowadays, I try to be understand. I try to understand people that send contact us to be critics, so to criticize the site. Oh, this is not well, because every time somebody finds a reason to send a criticism, it's because something is not well done. And sometimes we don't even know what was not well done because we don't even know the whole impact of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we develop many things and then we realize that there is something that is not working. Another topic you can come back later in a future episode is how can we track the errors that go in the background. I have a very simple method, but it's very efficient because every time there is a mistake, often the PHP error log gets filled of error messages. And
I don't have that problem. I might.
Yes.
So, I have to throw us out here because, at my team at Ring Central, I tell my team members that family always comes first. It's the most important thing.
Yes.
And I have to practice what I preach, because I promised Tanya that now that some of the restrictions have eased in California, I'd take her out for a date. So,
that's great.
I hate to do it, but if we can finish up here, that way I'll be able to come back again versus being told no.
Yes. Well, actually, I was handing, and I was telling you that fixing mistakes is important, and we'll get back to that in a future episode. But you had one last vision, and you need to remind me what was really that.
The second one is to be able to recognize and be grateful for all the blessings I've had.
Yes, that's will be a consequence of your work, because you are already doing the right thing. You're trying to be helpful in a way that will reach a lot of people, not just in the United States where you are, but mainly outside. There are countries that are very delayed. Unfortunately, they've been in wars. They are still in wars until today, and they are very delayed. But the people there are very humble, and they are really in the need to learn. Sometimes I get contacts people that want money to invest. No, the first investment must be knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't have knowledge, how well are you going to use the money that you get from the investors? And the best investment is your customer.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it here, and we'll get back to this hopefully next month. And I hope to talk more about PHP and less about us and the attitudes and people, because for some people this is already too obvious. For other people, they still need to digest. They'll think about what we said. I think you said very important things. And with this, I conclude this podcast. I really like to appreciate your presence and your comments, and also the sponsorship of Ring Central. That's very welcome. That makes this participation in the podcast financially viable, which is also important. It's not so much about the money; it's about the work that it requires, not just to record, to edit, eventually to transcribe, because we used to do transcriptions, but they took a lot of time, and we need to spend some money, and that's really hard work. But let's see if we can get back to those transcriptions, because some people prefer to read the text rather than watch the video or on the audio. Different people have different preferences, and that's all fine. And with this, I conclude this podcast. And again, thank you, you and whoever had the patience to watch for 1.5 hours, people just mumbling about life. But next time we hope to talk more about PHP, the state of PHP today, the hope for the PHP in the future, and the PHP community, the different projects that PHP developers are putting outside, and what we can expect from the future, learning from what we had as experiences in the past. So with this, I think we are all done. Thank you for your participation. Also, thank you for your wife for understanding your delays. But we are done now.
All right,
Jamal,
Manuel, thank you for having me. And a big thank you, everyone who attended as well. And we'll see you next month.
Okay. Bye.